Hello, I'm Rob Hirschfeld, CEO and co-founder of RackN, and this is a Digital Rebar install video. Specifically, in this version, we're going to do a complete walkthrough of the Digital Rebar install and show you how to use Digital Rebar, but really as a run-through. If you're interested in learning how to install Digital Rebar and want to do that yourself, I recommend you watching our full trial install video, where I show you bumps and problems and troubleshoot them as I go to give you an easier install experience. I do want to take a second to explain the install environment. Basically, we're running this on a desktop using standard desktop virtualization, Hyper-V for these demos, with two switches, one default switch that connects to the internet, and then a private network that we use for booting and provisioning systems. This makes sure that we don't interfere with your local networking. From there, the Digital Rebar server will attach to both networks. Not only is it our DHCP and DNS server and our PXE boot server, it is also our NAT gateway in this configuration. And from there, we're able to boot, provision, and run systems through a full lifecycle in this environment. It's a very fast and easy way to test Digital Rebar on your desktop without needing any additional setup. For the smooth run through, I am basically following the instructions laid out in the Digital Rebar portal. And what that means is I need to first go into my intended Digital Rebar host. This system, I've already set up my firewall and forwarding rules, so all I really need to do to get started is to paste in my install instruction. What you'll see in my install instruction here is that I'm basically downloading our install script and then running it through Bash with a simple instruction to install it, and then use the universal install. I've added two additional pieces here that, for my convenience, writing and recording demos, make things a little bit faster. I'm identifying the identifier for my Digital RERP for my license, and then I am streamlining the install for you by downloading the Digital Rebar install and content packs ahead of time. Now, as I go through the system, I can move immediately into that install process. And what you're watching is we're pulling in not just Digital Rebar, but all of the necessary content. All of the automation components that go into Digital Rebar are packaged up as part of the content for how the system works. Now, what you'll see here is the system is already online. The API is available, and I'm going to jump over to that, and it's installing the content packs and beginning the bootstrap process. I bring the system up initially by going directly to the API endpoint on HTTPS, so 8092, and here I need to accept my certificate. This is a self-signed certificate. In a production environment, you would sign those certificates. I'm going to use the default password for the system, which you can see if you hover over the new user instructions, and I'm going to log in. The first thing the system's going to do when you log in is ask you to register your trial. So you put your name, information here. If you've already done this process, as I have many times, what you can do is take the license that you have been provided or saved and load that into your environment. That is a convenience that makes it much easier to get things going. Sometimes you have to update the license and get a refresh based on the dates. But otherwise, now I have started Digital Rebar. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and make things easier for you to read. In the background, the system has actually completed loading all the content. So you can see we've come in here. Here's my Digital Rebar endpoint. It's told me it's gone through it. And now it's telling me that I need to wait for bootstrapping to complete. I can actually check on the bootstrapping of the system in the Machines tab. This is what we call the self runner. Remember, this is the name I chose for my endpoint. And it's going through a process of downloading and installing all of the component parts necessary to run Digital Rebar. So it's downloading its discovery image, it's checking to see if it's in a cloud or not. It's bringing in Docker containers and other components that are necessary for it to run. It's downloading those from the internet now. We do have air-gap capabilities where you can preload all these pieces and immediately bypass any type of bootstrapping requirement. But let's go through the new discovery steps. If you've installed Digital Rebar before, you'll see that we've significantly improved the wizard for getting you started. It's very easy to get to from here. We can upload our SSH keys. All I have to do is either drag and drop, or paste in my SSH key. Very simple. Then I want to be able to create a subnet. Here, when I go in to create a subnet, I can choose between the two systems that are identified. You'll remember that this one with the gateway is my internet facing. ETH1 is my captive or private network. I'm going to use that. That's where I want to be booting from. And Digital Rebar is going to give me all good defaults in this case, including setting the DNS server back to Digital Rebar. So my gateway, my DNS server are pre-configured for this type of environment. I want to go all the way down. I need to confirm that I've turned off DHCP here. You do not want to run a DHCP server on a network with a DHCP server unless you're choosing to use our proxy capability, which is a more advanced installation. So you can have DHCP servers that coexist. And here I've completed that configuration. I don't need to do any additional work. But it's warning me that I haven't configured a DNS for this environment. So I'm going to follow this link and jump over to my DNS zones and create a DNS server on Digital Rebar. This is a capability that's integrated into Digital Rebar version 4.13 and beyond, where you can have dynamic DHCP built into the system and actually resolve and define names. In this case, we don't actually need to do name resolution. We just want to do forwarding. So we don't have an origin. We don't need a high priority. We do want to forward. I'm just going to forward to Google's forwarder out into the internet and then use this as part of how the system works. And what I do like to do just from a safety perspective is I like to have a bit of a filter. So I do want to do a 192.168.100.0 subnet here. And this is going to make sure that my DHCP does not leak at all into the system. So very convenient to be able to say, I'm only going to serve DHCP requests from my private subnet. So here we've been able to build the system up into exactly the type of configuration that we need. Looks like our subnet is configured and looks correct. And the only thing missing is powering on our machines. See, we have none that are discovered. One thing I do want to check here very briefly is to see how we're doing on our bootstrapping process. So I'm going to check here. Bootstrapping process is now downloading the discovery ISO. I've been moving very quickly through this, so we're going to give it a second to complete that process. And while we wait for that, I'm going to tour you through some of the capabilities of Digital Rebar. The first one we have is a general overview, shows us pools of machines, failed machines, stages, costs. Runtime statistics can actually tell you how machines are performing through workflows. We actually have an alerting system built into the system that allows you to have alerts and warnings. If something goes wrong with bootstrapping, you would be alerted about that or other problems. Plugins allow us to extend the system. You can see there's a lot of hardware and other capabilities based here. Info and preferences allows you to get a general sense of what the system is doing, see how your activity is going in the systems, quick health checks, and then a significant amount of configuration information, including HA configurations, certificate management, things like that are all managed from here. License Manager allows you to check and update your license and see what your entitlements are. Pixie Bootstrapping is the wizard we've been using. Provision is a new view for Digital Rebar 4.14 and above, where you actually have machines that are managed across different processes. So as machines get discovered, they're going to show up here. They are very easy to select these and then move them into provision. And if something happens and they fail, you will see machines that are failed or in the process of being built. So we've made it very easy for you to identify machines through the lifecycle management process of discovered, provisioned, or in transition. As you go down the menu, what you'll see is more specific things. Machines, clusters, resource brokers are the ways we handle machines, including groups of machines with an abstraction for clusters. Resource brokers allow you to pull machines from other locations, whether they're our pooling system or through clouds or virtual resources. Pools are actually being able to take a group of machines and treat them as a general allocation. And racks are a way to handle preloading systems where you take information from your data center and pre-populate it into Digital Rebar. Let's see how we're doing on that machine provision. Looks like that's completed, so we should be ready to go on our next bootstrapping phase. I'm going to jump over into let's go back to provision. I'm going to show you here, this is my Digital Rebar Hyper-V management system. So this is the install that we have going on, and then I have a couple machines ready to go. I want you to actually watch it go through the full process. So let's bring up two machines, and you can watch them go through the boot cycle. What you'll see here, or not see here, is the warning that these are insecure. Because I'm using my license, I am running in secure mode, and so you will be able to see this is a secure boot enabled system out of the box. We highly, highly recommend that you use secure boot. The default image here is a highly specialized version of our Discovery operating system called Sledgehammer. That is based on Alma, and it is a very generic way to quickly run systems. It doesn't install the disks, it's just running in memory. It gives us full control of how the systems go. And what you'll see here, the machines have discovered now, and if I jump over to the provision view, you'll see that we're showing them in discovered. I'm going to move over to this version of the provision view so I have a little bit more space to show you what's going on. If I pick one of my two machines here, this is number 100. I've set the MAC addresses so that 100 is 00. And what is going on is it's literally going through its startup process. Because of my NAT gateway, I'm able to go and do a CentOS only repos and scan through, update the system. I'm literally going through and making everything come in as a smooth operation. That's going to work on both of these machines. So it's literally running through the Digital Rebar pipelines necessary for discovery. And that includes a tremendous amount of steps and works, checks, validation. This is really the heart of how Digital Rebar provides these services by having these very comprehensive pipelines where we bring systems up even into the most simple discovery. And you can extend these by adding different tasks. And we have a lot of videos showing you how to extend and optimize the pipelines to suit your specific needs without changing the default behaviors or the out-of-the-box behaviors that we provide in Digital Rebar. Now, if I actually want to provision these into an operating system, what I want to do is upload the ISOs to run those operating systems. Now, it is possible for me to provision. Let me go into provision view, select one of these machines or both of these machines, go choose provision, select an operating system. So if I was to pick, say, Alma 9, 5 DVD like this, I could go through. I ideally would have a boot ISO for it, but I don't need one for some of these operating systems like Alma 9. I can say next, and the system will download all of its prerequisites. What I want to do is speed things up a little bit by going through and getting the ISO for those systems. And what I can do there is I've already downloaded the several of these ISOs. If you want to know where to find which ISOs are appropriate for different boot environments, you can check out our boot environments, find the operating system that you want to install. We have a significant number of them, 256 here, and choose to download them. Now, a lot of distros do not keep providing older, so you might need to pick the latest or the min, one of the latest installs here, unless you have the matching ISOs, which, if depending on your enterprise environment, you might need these older ISOs. What I'm going to do is jump ahead. I've already downloaded these. I'm going to choose upload and pick to take in the Alma 9.5 ISO and upload that. Now that I have it uploaded, I'm going to go back to my provision view, select the machine I want to provision. Earlier I did it using that checkbox. One of the things that we've added is you can do provision and rediscovery right from the top of the menu here. So if I choose provision, go back Alma, I've chosen the 9.5 min, hit next. It's reminding me that I want the ISOs. I have it, reviewing what's going to go like a wizard, and then I finish. And over here, if I check in on machine 100, let's give you both views. Here's the activity view, and here is the vision. What you'll see is the system is going through a detailed pre-processing even before it starts the install. And then it's going to go and automatically start the install. The idea that we're doing a whole bunch of workflow before we start the install process is really important. It allows you to do configuration tasks before the install. So we're actually using our deep scan of discovery. We're able to set BIOS configuration, drive, other items in the system do additional work even before we start that OS install. So you have time in your workflows and processes to make sure that when you start and install, you are ready to start that install. That additional part of the workflow is a really significant add that Digital Rebar brings in its default pipelines. Then we automatically go in, reboot, and start the install process, and you're watching it go through an Alma install. I'm going to go ahead and let time-lapse kick in so that you get to see the full install experience as I'm talking to you. Now, as the system completes the ISO boot, what you'll notice is that once we have the system booted, we're going to regain control, and then we're going to be able to go through and actually finish the provisioning. So it's not just that we were able to complete the ISO boot and prep it. As the system comes back online, what you'll see is that the Digital Rebar system is going to start catching up on the pipeline and then doing additional configuration and processing jobs. One thing to note is that ISO boot and this type of deploy does take a fair bit of time. One of the options that we show in some advanced training videos is how to do an image-based deployment. Image-based deployments write directly to disk a finished image, and those can be done in seconds relatively compared to the minutes that it takes to do a normal boot provision. You'll notice on the right that what we're actually seeing is all of the post-provision activity kick back up as the system's coming in. So we see the Alma 9 prompt very clearly, and then Digital Rebar continuing on to complete. One of the advantages with this type of process is that you can actually detect when systems are online or offline, and you can get real-time events about the status, the exact status of where the boot continues. So now that I've completed this boot cycle, I can easily drive it back to rediscovery simply by choosing rediscover, confirming that that is what I want to do. Here it's going to reboot the machine and start the process over. What you'll notice that I didn't show you before because I'd covered it up, so you actually get status that the system is offline, and then you can watch to see the activity view as the new machine comes back online and is rebooted and reconditioned back to discovery. So as soon as Sledgehammer boots into this environment, it will very quickly pick up and continue the processing. Which you'll see here, literally repeating the discovery process, running our default processes plus whatever additional pieces you need to run to recover the machine, clean it up, scrub the disk, test, check, inventory. It's really a very sophisticated model in which you have complete governance and control, as well as very good data about what's been going on in the systems. So I can take that and run whichever systems I need if I want to go and provision the other machine. Very easy to do from this, or I could start a pipeline completely by our APIs. Our pipelines list under networking, multi-site management, in provision, I can actually look at all the pipelines that are available for the system. I can take a look at this Alma 9.5 pipeline that I've been using. Oops, there's actually 2 pages of these. So here's my Alma 9.5 minimal pipeline, and I can take a look. I can actually see a map of all of the process controls that are involved in making the Alma 9.5 process boot. So this is a core part of how Digital Rebar is able to manage and run systems so effectively. And I strongly recommend that you take a moment and look at some of our labs in which you can actually learn how to build your own pipelines and extend them, build alerts, connect into different systems and multiple sites. These are really it's a really powerful feature where you can actually get guided through how the system operates in your own environment and learn Digital Rebar from these comprehensive labs. I hope this tour has been helpful for you. If you want to duplicate this experience on your own desktop, I really recommend watching the longer install video here where I go through the process and show you what it looks like to enable the NAT, enable the firewall, and take those steps. If you have questions or just want to get a better sense of how Digital Rebar can help you in your organization, please reach out to the RackN Customer Success team. We are excited to talk to you. And thanks.